Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy back with another Rush video, and I'll be reacting to Thief the Dark Project review. This is from MandaloreGaming channel. This is a request from Alexander Harris. They asked me to review this one, so I figured I was just sitting here like, what was I going to? What is I going to? What was I going to react to? Because I was planning on looking at something. I thought about looking at the Loki, just starting the Loki TV show, even though I still got a bunch of stuff I need to finish editing. But I wanted to watch something rather than edit right now. But you came just in time with something. So I was like, well, fuck. You asked for this pretty much with Thief 2, and then another with Thief. I don't remember it. But anyway, let's just get into this. These are, Mandalorian had pretty long reviews, and go check out his channel. He has a really good channel. He really breaks down his reviews and gets in depth in the game. Mandalore Gaming. Go check that channel. Also, I'll put a link in the description of the video I'm watching, so you can go watch it yourself. But yeah, go check it. He's a really good channel. Like, he convinced me that I really want. Normally, I don't look at reviewers to convince me to play a game. I'm my own judge. I decide whether I'm gonna play a game or not. But watching his review of Pathologic 2 actually really made me want to get that game. It made me really want to play it, even though you still has a lot of like problems of the previous one, but they've upgraded it and it fixed a lot of problems of the previous one. You know, but yeah, it made me really want to like. I was looking that up on Steam. I was like, maybe I get that one day. Whenever I fucking start doing gameplays, I thought about doing it tonight. I'm trying to figure out like how do I have because I want to start with because I got a desktop computer now. So I was like, how can I just use that instead of my laptop? Because I was gonna play the game on my TV, which I use as a monitor as well, and record it using OBS on my laptop. Now I have another TV, my old TV, that still works, but the stand broke when I was moving it, so I had to try to prop it up somewhere. And I was like, how can I use my one TV to, on my new TV to record on OBS and play on a console? Now, if it was like I was playing on PC, that'd be maybe fine. I want to do it, but playing on a PlayStation 4 and switching from one HDMI port to another on my TV to go to the gaming and then the PC. Like, can I record like that? I was looking up, can I do that? I don't know. I might just have to use my laptop, but I was like, unless I plug in my other TV. But like I said, the stands broke. I had to try to sit it, and I don't have anywhere really to sit up against like a wall or nothing. I had to just sit it on the floor and prop it up against my computer desk. Because I could do that, but cause my laptop would be better, but I don't know, that hard. I might have to do a factory restart on it because I don't know why it's always at 100 CPU. I don't know the virus on there, even though I have virus protection and everything, and it blocks stuff. Or I've had messages come and say, "Oh yeah, we deleted these files because they look suspicious." Like, but it like freezes and stuff like that. So I don't know. But anyway, let's get into this. All right, here we. Let's see if I can try to watch this on
I
the
love this
actual
game. Thief is
YouTube.
a first-person stealth adventure. It's one of those defining titles for the immersive sim genre, though I've never cared for the name that much. Especially since, unlike a lot of other immersive sim games, our protagonist can't exactly become a combat god. But before doing all that, there are some things that can be fixed up. The good news is on Steam the game will run, but I'm going to the bear pits tomorrow. It may be running too fast, and we can do better. Okay, so Thief uses the Dark Engine. It was made for Thief, and all of 3 games used it, including Thief 2. So not the best odds for having long-term support, but the GOG version is significantly better. It runs correctly, has widescreen, more options. How did that work out? Well, they used the new Dark Engine. They didn't make that. It comes from someone only known as the Raven.
I will put
It
the
added compatibility,
souls
removed tons of bugs.
and
There
make
was no
a
reason not
dark
to use it. But we're not
engine.
done because what's T-Fix?
A great
That would be
dark
Thief Fix,
engine.
which also gives the latest new dark version. It fixes more things and adds new visuals and enhancements. Some of the visual changes are significant. There are some Thief 2 assets that I think are very out of place in 1, but an option like interactive candles is a huge change to how you play some levels. So you could install that and uncheck near everything, or just install T-Fix Lite, which is all the fixes. That's what I'd recommend for your first time through. You can also want that creative
Yeah,
tech
he
sound,
really
but you don't have
breaks
a sound
down
guy.
like
It's not
and
your
how
fault.
to
Who
just
does anymore?
not
As we
just
all
like
know,
a
Fatality
walk
was the
through
only
the
one making
game.
them, all alone in his garage. There's no room for them now
He
that
breaks
needs
down like,
Gearbox or
hey,
some
this is how
shit
you
now.
can
So
play
you
and
could
get the
use a
best
solution like
experience
Creative
out of
Alchemy
it.
or browse around to find what would work for you. I'll pin links to all this stuff, no worries. It's pretty quick and hassle-free to do all this, and you'll enjoy your time with the game that much more. Just listen to that ambience. Look, I'm saving the really good examples for later. For now, let's start the game with the most late
Like how
90s
you just the
intro
ambience. You're
imaginable.
like, all right, listen, I'm saving the good ones for later. All right, stick around. Rap music. Rap music thing softens. Rap music thing ramps way up.
This intro is amazing. I'm a fan of having music you wouldn't expect for your setting, but accompanying it with a creative music video stylized
Wait,
intro,
they
that
had
just raises the bar so high.
Daredevil?
You should expect unconventional. I mean, the game comes in a trapezoid for Christ's sake. Ironically, you'll
Like
get a lot more out of the
screens,
intro
like
once you beat
scenes
the
from
game. So
Daredevil,
let's skip ahead to where things are less
2003
abstract.
in there?
The story follows a
Or did he
prominently
put that
reassigner
in
named
there?
Garrett. He started life as an urchin, pickpocketing on the streets to survive, until one day his talents were noticed and he was brought into a mysterious organization known as the Keepers. The Keepers trained Garrett further in honing his stealth and other skills, but he eventually left to pursue his own life with
Playing
people.
basketball.
And the game follows just that, playing Garrett's various crime jobs until things get weird. I'll talk more about the story and writing later, but for now that's all I need to know. Garrett's a fun character and you really are along for a ride with him.
I wonder if he reads them or if it's just for show.
They're probably just for show, meant to impress the ladies.
Let's start with the visuals. Thief takes place in a gothic medieval setting, with a few twists here and there. You travel from cathedrals to mansions to graveyards to tombs. Then again, a tomb is just a country club version of a graveyard for rich people. But anyway, it's a dark and creepy world. And in the game, despite being an early 3D game, it has some fantastic art direction. I find a lot of it striking even today.
It looks
This
good.
game's
It's
from
very
98, so
like
not everything can be a winner,
atmospheric.
especially character models, but what can
It
you
looks
expect?
interesting.
What's really
It's
cool
like
with
you,
central
I mean, that was a
gameplay is
really
the lighting.
artistic
Sticking to the
choice to
darkness
make it
is
like
key
a
for survival, so the game
gothic
has
choice.
dramatic shadows to complement this. It's straightforward, though if you're
Oh,
still
so this is a
unsure, your light
game
gem
where
will show how exposed you
people are
This is what the
literally
game considers absolute
blind,
darkness, so
that
you
they
can
don't
just
have
assume that Garrett
peripheral
has really
vision.
good night vision. Of course, as a treasure hunter, you might want to leave some lights on if you can. Leaving on a torch or fireplace can help find
It's real
trinkets
good
in a
night
room,
vision.
and
What is
flipping
he,
on
a
electric lights
cat?
can help you find your bearings in a confusing layout. Oh yeah, I didn't mention that. It's also a steampunk setting. Well, kind of. Once again, that's more of a broad term. It's more of a medieval setting that happens to have some electronics. There's no top hats and gunpowder or everything relying on clockwork. Instead, you'll break into a prison where everyone is dressed like a crusader and speaking King James
I'm like,
Bible.
it's literally pitch black unless you standing within 3 feet of a torch.
Then it's full of industrial machinery and security cameras. So for me, the term steampunk undersells
Security
how unique the world
cameras.
is. Their technology doesn't look to be fantastical. If anything, it looks to be unreliable. Thief 2 is a different story, but that's for another day. So style-wise, it's a unique looking
That's
game.
for
and the
another
lighting effects
video.
especially elevate the atmosphere. Still, even above that, when I think of Thief, I think of sound. There are first-person games today that don't propagate sound as well as Thief does. You can hear how far guards are, gauge how loud your footsteps are being. If you lean against the
Well, I
door,
mean,
you
that
can
makes
eavesdrop,
sense,
and even make
especially
guess
in
at
a,
how big
in a
room is based on
game
the
that
echo. Even with the sound
relies
quality being
heavily
so
on
compressed, the
stealth.
effect makes it work masterfully.
The
Besides
sound
providing
needs to
shadows
be
or cast,
on
you're keeping an eye on the
point.
floor surfaces too. The fancy carpet is almost silent to walk on, whereas something like ceramic tile or metal will be loud and echo. so you need to avoid the loud surfaces or use your tools to make them quieter. It makes you really pay attention to the sound in a way that a lot of stealth games still
That's
don't.
interesting.
The ambient soundscape is great too, so there's a lot of enjoyable listening.
He should have wore shoes or like, I don't know, like more insulated bottoms. Sound like he wearing fucking like boots or like dress shoes while he clacking on the floor like that. The fuck is that? On what?
Okay, enjoyable might have been
Monstrous
the wrong word, but it's good.
Wheezy?
There's a tension to playing Thief, and the sound immerses you in it.
The fuck is that? I was thinking like it's just humans you facing monsters.
This is one of those games that ties the music with each level's ambient sound effects. The tracks you do hear most of the time are suspenseful, a constant reminder that you don't want to be caught. Some border on being white noise, and others sound like something John Carpenter might have made. You seem to only get these snippets of music while actually playing the game, but what's there is mainly great. Except for the Thieves Guild. Jesus Christ, it's so compressed. It's like I'm hearing the Matrix through a wristwatch game. So that sucks, but the highlight of the music is in the cutscenes. You get one before every mission, and they're
It
great.
did kinda
They
sound
build up
like-
intrigue or hype you up for the mission. Usually both.
I
And they're
dug
accompanied
it,
by these
though.
smoky, sometimes surreal images. Even the most simplistic, straightforward missions have so much added on to them.
Farkas is one of the few merchants willing to risk selling to an independent like me, and his prices are steep. But the other choice is to let one of the so-called
He looks
city
like
wardens give me orders.
Fake
And
ass
cut my profits.
Hugo Strange.
They've been after me for years to join one of their stables, but I'm not interested. Maybe they'll get the idea and give up. More likely, they'll just ramp up the threats.
Well, yeah, I mean they're threatening you. Yeah, I mean it seems like they
She claims to represent a
really
client
want you to
who's
join
by the way,
their
told me
organization.
Ramirez.
They start
Now
threatening
wants me
you.
to steal something for him. I need an artist.
I don't get why would you want somebody part of your organization like, hey, if you don't join, we'll kill you. That person is not going to be very loyal.
The eye.
It's remarkably stylish, and really elevated by the voice acting. It's well directed and draws you in, which is pretty funny when you compare it to the NPCs in the actual game. There is some prime cut ham.
Yummy full of holes! Ooh, I think a baby bird pecked me. But I was thinking we should watch the
What?
inside. That's stupid. People don't worry about their on the inside. No, then you catch them before they get inside, you taffy.
What?
There's so much character. So with that, let's get into the
The
gameplay.
fuck were they
starting with the
talking about?
difficulty. The settings in Thief work very differently than most games. Typically, it would be
Good
something
thing
like
they
enemies
go
hit
on
harder and more
like
accurately, sometimes
Hollywood
very
rules where you
accurately,
hit
or
someone
they become
once
bullet sponges
and they
that dish out
instantly
more
get
damage
knocked
with no
out.
AI changes. That's all standard by now, but Thief does none of that. Enemy stats and AI aren't tweaked at all. Instead, tweaking the difficulty will add more objectives. These are customized for every level. It could be something as simple as you have to steal more treasure, or you could need to go into a dangerous area that you wouldn't otherwise to complete a task. The levels themselves can change with new areas opening up to complete your missions. Easier enemy types can be replaced by stronger ones, and frequently you get the challenge of not killing anybody, though knocking them unconscious is a-okay. But it's not entirely clear how long they'll stay alive, because your most common method will be bludgeoning them over the head with a blackjack. They don't have CAT scans to find brain injury. Instead, they have drill a hole into your skull to let out the evil spirits. But considering healthcare costs here in America, over the long run, it could be an improvement. So this does add
Or just
replayability,
kill
but
him,
a
just
lot of the
stab
tension
him.
does come from not knowing the
Is
right
this
way
the
out.
game
Your maps can
where
be old
I
and
know?
incomplete
I
and
think it
not
was
vaguely
Thief
show where you
2,
are, so you'll be
where
more
you
confident
can
on a replay.
choose
I'd strongly
to
advise playing the maps on hard even if you're new.
like
because
you
I
can
think you
not
miss out
kill
on a lot on
anybody
normal.
in the
Don't be
game.
afraid to go right into expert either. Just make sure to
And I
scour
think it
each
has
room
like different
carefully.
endings
never
if
need all the
you
treasure to
kill
become an
people or
expert, but
don't
you'll
kill
need a
people.
lot. Even replaying it
It's
all
kind of
now,
like
there was
a
still a time I had to
I
hunt
guess
around for a
morality
recipe I needed.
type engine.
Oh, thank God. Speaking of treasure, you do get to cash out. It's not just for show. Before each mission, there will be some items you can buy and more unlock as the game progresses. What's important here is that money does not carry over
Flashbang,
between
water
missions.
arrow.
So whatever you
What?
grab in one heist is only good for the next. Anything you don't spend is wasted, so you do want to try and zero it out. I know
Noise
some people
maker
don't like this,
error.
but I've always found it to be a blessing. I'm the kind of guy who holds a health potion in a game until the end of time. So in Thief, I have an incentive to use all my tools rather than wait for a rainy day that never comes. And there are all kinds of tools at your disposal. The blackjack mentioned before is good for non-lethal takedowns, but only if they're caught unaware. If you come from the front, it's not a Vulcan nerve pinch anymore, you're just beating them to death with a blackjack. So you do have some proper lethal options at your disposal. You have basic broadhead arrows for striking from range, which are later complemented by fiery arrows for breaking the Geneva Convention at a distance. And then you have a trusty sword for killing up close.
Wait,
it's a simple
see, is
system of knowing when to
zombies
time
in
your
this
hits and
was-
parrying. What's kind of funny is that even years after this, there were still highly acclaimed melee-focused games that wouldn't let you parry on command. But here in Thief, you can have a proper duel. So really, why bother sneaking? The guards don't seem too bad. Jesus Christ, there are so many guards. And these enemies get fast. There's no way I can keep up. So there's a lesson to be learned here.
There's a
You are
reason
training.
why stealth,
Garrett's a thief.
in a
Garrett
game that
is not a
seems
master
to
sword fighter.
heavily
The
rely
melee
on
on your end has a
stealth,
stiffness
there's
to
a
it.
reason
Your
why
swings might
it
keep up with
relies
early
on
enemies,
stealth.
but they'll pale in comparison to even mid-game ones. Because
Like
you
you
can't
start
win
that
these
either
fights
you
with the
get
right way to track more
overrun
enemies, and it's just
by
not as efficient as being
enemies,
sneaky.
or
Your enemies are
they're
dangerous. There are lots of
the
great
enemies are
immersive
like
sim
really
games that
strong,
all kinds
much
of
stronger
combat.
than you
The
are.
problems start to creep in when stealth
Especially at
becomes
the
an option,
beginning.
because whatever your obstacles are still have to account for the combat players. Let me pick on this one for a second. I like Dishonored a lot, and I have heard the second game is better about this issue.
I think I
but
was getting
haven't
this
played it yet.
confused with
You can be
Dishonored.
a sneaky boy in Dishonored,
that's what
but
I'm
it's
thinking
still an
about.
option. Even on the hardest difficulty, if something
I
goes
think I
wrong, you have all
was.
kinds of magic and powers and weapons to help you get out of it. On top of that, if you kill too many people, you get the bad ending. So you're hiding to protect the enemies from you, instead of hiding from them because they're a threat.
I was
Thief will let you
getting this
blast wind magic
confused
or
with
summon swarms
Dishonored,
of rats, and Dishonored's
which
combat
I
will
haven't
always be better,
played.
but it will remain the tenser game because of its limited combat options. This kind of thing goes for a lot of modern stealth games. I'm sure some of you remember when Assassin's Creed was at least pretending to try. Most of Thief's tools and weapons are all about affecting the environment, the constant enemy.
He showed
You
the
have
most
water arrows that
recent
snuff out
game,
torches and make it
so
darker.
when they were
Moss
pretending
arrows
to
spread out a
try.
quiet carpeted surface on a loud floor, or you could use a noisemaker arrow to distract from the sounds you are making, and rope
How do
arrows
you
can help
not-
you avoid problem areas
it's a
entirely
game,
or open
like,
up a new angle
it
of getting
just-
somewhere. It doesn't
like,
hold
how
your
do you
hand, but
not
it's
see
not overly
this
complicated
person?
either. You have some options for getting around and some tools at your disposal, but it's all themed around stealth, because you could knock out a guard to take their key, but now have to deal with hiding a body. Plus, if you do screw up the takedown, they're going to run off and get help. So instead, you can remain sneaky and do some pickpocketing work to get the key. If you do have to fight, why do it fairly? Give them the Korean DMZ special and litter some landmines around. It really is just that easy. As much as I do like a straightforward fight, I do like games that let you be unconventional. Thief's method of dropping you down in a big map. with
Oh,
multiple
you got
objectives
enemies
and
that
random
fight
tools is
each other.
awesome.
That's-
And I
I
always
always
get
like
excited to see more
games like that.
When I first played Ground Zeroes, I thought the Phantom Pain would be that on a large scale. It didn't seem too crazy to me back then, but I was also one of those weirdos who put far too much time into it. That turned out not to be the case. So now I want to go
But
over
you
Thief's levels. and
Ground
pacing.
Zero, you
It's a
put
roller
that
coaster.
game was like 3
After
hours.
completing your training, your first real mission is to break into a manor. This mission is still
I
training.
knew
you how to
someone who
navigate.
put like,
Even
I
breaking
think
in,
he
there
put
are all
like
kinds of caches and
100
side
hours.
passages to
I was
explore.
like, you played that
Sneak
game
quietly,
multiple
steal
times. Like,
quickly, don't
why
get
did
caught.
you put over like 100
There aren't
hours
many
into
surprises
Ground
here. It
Zero?
makes for an excellent introduction. You can pick up tidbits of lore here and there and learn more about how the world works.
They just don't make bears like they used to. Whoa.
When that's all done with, the second mission is when things get more elaborate.
Okay.
It's a prison break-in, and the map is
They don't
significantly
make
more
bears.
complex. The entire thing is built over a mine where the undead are roaming free. True to their name, the undead aren't staying down when you kill them. It's very much a 0 to 60 experience. You're introduced to the supernatural, more dangerous enemies, louder floors, cameras, alarms. It's a big step, but still a break-in mission. It's expansive, but it gives you a better idea.
I mean,
of what
that
to
makes
expect
sense
from
as the
length of
game
missions. It's really
progresses.
the next one where opinions start to get divided. The
They
bone
gotta
horde is
start
even more of a
throwing
maze, but you don't
curveballs
have to
at
hide
you,
from
otherwise
guards
you
this
get
time.
bored.
I'm guessing they wouldn't be able to find their way around. Instead, you fight traps, puking lizards, and hordes of undead. You can still sneak
Like,
around
I
them,
want to
but
know,
stealth
like,
doesn't seem to be the
why are
focus
there
here.
undead?
Instead of a sleuthy B&E, this is a tomb raid. Understandably, a lot of players hated this shift. Getting caught doesn't matter as much anymore. There are no humans to spare, so everything is free to be killed. Based on the expectations set by the missions before, there's some fair critique out there. My take is that this tomb raid is fucking sick. This is one of my favorite video game dungeons. Sure, you could go full paladin and start
fucking
smiting the
sick.
undead like they're on sale, but you don't have to. You can use your agility to dodge past the enemies, use rope arrows, lead them into traps. I've always found it odd to see people describe it as a combat-centric level when it's really not, and that's a choice. I mean, they're zombies.
that's a
They're dumb,
choice.
they're slow. If you don't want to deal with them old brains, just walk around them. The Brap lizards aren't exactly scientists either. I've always seen the Bone Horde as a movement and navigation test. Nearly all the major treasures are about avoiding traps, mastering the jumping and climbing, or both at the same time. It's a good case of wax on, wax off for some later levels, though it is abrupt for Mission 3.
Oh shit.
It is a sprawling tomb, and even the prison had a clearer layout once you get inside of it. Starting to get the hang of guards and then being thrown into this definitely offsets some people. But I've always found it fun, even if it wasn't what I was expecting. That said, the Golden Bone treasure that got added in could have been implemented a lot better, but I'll talk about Thief Gold in a moment. Typically, most people who hate the Bonehoard
Treasure?
are really happy with the next mission.
So you are
This
raiding
one has you tailing
tombs.
some guards to the city, and if you've played some other stealth games, you might think it's a time waster. But no, you break into an even more elaborate manner than the first mission. There are tons of options and secret passages for getting around. Then you have to escape back out
Hey,
of the city.
Assassin's
So
Creed
following the
was
guards there meant you were
fun.
learning the layout, and it wasn't for no reason.
It's
It is
still fun.
so good. In the base game, my favorite mission is right after this. But the game I and most people will be playing is Thief Gold. It changes some things around in some existing levels, but most importantly, it adds 3 more. So instead of an awesome level, which I won't be talking about until spoilers, we get the Thieves Guild. So how does that go? Well, the map starts promising with a restaurant that then goes into a sewer and... Oh god. How big is this map? Oh, Jesus Christ. The Thieves Guild is
The
huge,
fuck?
and it's a maze. It starts promising with a restaurant and hidden underground casino, but then it becomes a sewer, and mostly stays a sewer. When you're not walking through actual shit, the basements aren't very detailed and just ugly. The thing is, there
Hey,
are
the
still
life
cool
of a
parts the
thief.
Thieves Guild. When you
Swimming
are out of
through
the sewers,
shit.
you have 2 unique houses to break into. As the title says, it's against a new faction, the
People-
Gang of Thieves. They know who Garrett is, and if
Just
they see
get
you, they
instant
cry out,
brain
"Can't believe you're
damage
actually
for you
doing
hit him in
what
the
you're
head
doing."
when you
It adds
bludgeon him.
context into who Garrett is and has some good ideas, but there's... okay, where do I start? Okay, I'll be generous. I don't think that the Thieves Guild should be wiped off the face of the earth. The first issue is the pacing of where it is in the game. The Bone Horde was a curveball, but this is a much worse one for different reasons. The mission before it, Assassins, is a great heist map. It's very open, and there are a lot of options for entering the building. Even the Bone Horde was in a tomb, but it didn't feel too restricting. Compare that to the Thieves' Gutter, which is very much so. You need to do pump Sudoku to open doors and other back and forth garbage. So much looks the same. I could eyeball some
Back and
landmarks
forth
before, but this was the
garbage.
first time I really had to use my compass. and
Tells how
map
you
too.
really feel.
And if you do that, the sewer navigation is more tolerable, but still annoying. So if the map is such a
I
convoluted maze,
mean,
why not go
annoying
far
parts
into
of
the
a game are
Because you
kind
can for
of
story reasons.
standard.
This is the last of the
Like,
roughly
it can't
standalone
be-
missions.
it
before
can't
the
all
story
be
kicks off.
perfect,
In the
yeah.
base game, you later had to find 4 special
Well, I guess
objects,
to your
and 2 of them
liking.
were in 2 maps. Gold Edition added 2 more
Every
maps,
game
so
I
each
play,
object would have
it's
its own
at
unique
least some
It
mission.
didn't break the
One
narrative, just added
mission
some more
or
into it. The
multiple
new Mage
missions or
Towers
like an
mission has you
entire
conquer some elementally themed
section of a
obstacle
game
courses.
is
But
just
the
like
other
a-
levels tried to
just-
have grounded backstories.
ugh.
This one seems the
But
most
you-
like a video game.
You get
I
through
got the
it.
distinct feeling that the Dark
Hopefully
Engine
it
couldn't
gets
really comprehend
better
new
or returns to
platforms,
what it
which makes me
what
question
you
some
liked at
later
the beginning.
decisions even more. But the many aren't in this game yet.
Do not let fear control your path, Garrett.
Or maybe they are. The final mission they added has crab people and an opera theater. That's the best thing in the map, so I won't say more on it.
Crab
These later 2
people,
maps are big,
crab
but they fit in with the overall pace.
Walk
the Thieves
like
Guild has to be
that.
mission 5. So
Let's
how could it
walk
be
like
fixed up?
crab.
Well, if the sewer was
Look
an
like
option and there was a heavily
people.
guarded overworld, that might make it more appealing. But the map is already so dense that maybe they were at their limit. The sewer areas could have been more distinct, and there are a few that stand out. A criminal underground city could be cool if it was more distinct. Finally, some of the back and forthing could be cut down because it's unnecessary. I've been the shit far too long as is. If I remember right, in Civi's Petty Thief series, he said for the Thieves Guild to be destroyed completely. I can understand that, especially coming from a man who is just plagued by sewers. But if you're new to Thief, you can save at the beginning and then just use a cheat code to skip the level. Try it again after you beat the game, because you might find more to it.
I
after
always
playing some of
hated
those
games
later
like that where
missions.
you
The
hit
first
them,
time through, I
hit an
hated this
enemy
mission,
and
but
it
on
doesn't
replay, I
stagger
think
them.
that
They
goes to Mage
so they
Towers
still hit
instead.
you.
The trials are fine the first time through, but it is exceptionally linear, which is a shame.
Which it
because
looked
the
like
keep
what
in the
that
center's
spider
a lot of fun,
did
but
right
you have
there.
to do so much to get to that part. Great. Before you get into spoilers, I want to talk about how
Fuck.
the game tells its story. Ironically, you're mainly kept in the dark about what's going on in the
Shitting,
larger
passing
world.
gas.
Garrett faces off against city guards, other criminals, and a religious organization called the Order of the Hammer. The thing is, none of
And
these
they all
groups are
carry
pure evil
hammers,
or
of
anything.
course
You
they
get
do.
the sense that everyone is just trying to get by.
Of course they do.
Garrett's not out for vengeance or anything.
So I decided to go after that horn Felix talked about. Not like I had a whole lot of choice, really. The rent is due. My landlord's even tougher than the Hammers.
He's crawling through haunted tombs
So you
because
doing
he's
this-
trying to make rent.
yeah, what?
That's relatable. However, there's still a great focus on the Hammers. They worship a mythical figure.
You
called the
going
Builder,
through
and his
all
imagery
this
is
just to
everywhere.
pay
They're a
rent?
technocracy, all about moving forward, constructing, and inventing. They also have a strong
You
sense
gotta
of
be
keeping order.
easier
Build up
ways
the
to make
city,
rent.
Hammer down dissent. This makes them perfect ideological
Hell, even
rivals.
selling
It's not
drugs would be
personal, but
easier than
almost all
doing
they
all
do
this
makes Garrett's
shit.
job harder. Water arrows can't put out their electric lights. Their wonders of metal and tile flooring are way louder to walk on. They actively imprison Garrett's fences and contacts and other troublemakers. Hammers make, Garrett take. The best part is that they don't tell all this through an in-game encyclopedia or something. It's all conveyed through dealing with
I
them
do
by
not
playing the
have
game. The
peripheral
level design
vision.
and some environmental storytelling is great. Like, here's an example. And I don't even know if it's intentional. At this point in the game, you've probably seen an ornate bedroom. Fancy head and footboard, lots of treasures in the room, and it's away from main guard quarters. Deep in a hammerite facility, you get the same sense that you're where the elite hang out. The stonework is becoming ornate, the hammer iconography is showing up more. It's getting bougie. Then you find a hammer bedroom and bam, we don't sleep. This pew is a meter from the wall just staring at a hammer. This instantly conveys so much about the Hammerites and how they are. You don't have a wall of fluff about how strict the regime is, you just have this. It all happens by simply playing
I would
the game,
think
and you learn more
those.
about the
I
hammers
would
and
think
other
this
missions this way too.
this
Sometimes things are spelled out, but you can
cult,
put
I
together a
guess,
lot
is
of your own
insane.
organically.
Like, you just have a
Every single mission
bench
begins with a
and
hammer-themed cutscene,
like a
but it doesn't say what the
mural
hammers
of a
are.
hammer,
Instead, you read their
and you
scripture.
call yourselves the whatever the cult of the hammer, whatever you said, and the order of the hammer, I think you said, and you just sit here and stare at it. You're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, okay, these people are clearly. Plus, they all carry around like sledgehammers. I was like, something's like wrong with you. And they are much more effective weapons than carrying around like a sledgehammer. It's kind of cool, but
I love it so much.
still,
There's
it's
one
not a
level
very
I have to talk
effective
about,
weapon.
more story to cover, but that's it for non-spoilers. So if you want to get past all those, go to here. Okay, the sword. This is my favorite mission in the game and flat out one of my favorite video game levels. Garrett is hired to steal a magical sword from an
Wow,
eccentric
that's
noble
quite a
named
boast
Constantine. This
when
will
you
make
have
your third
favorite
break into
game
a mansion,
levels.
so you have some confidence behind you. Just like the others, the front is heavily guarded, so you look for another way in. The difference is, compared to the other jobs, you barely know anything about what's inside. There's not much room for casing the place out either. All you can tell is that the building is a lot bigger than the other ones, and why is that window crooked? A little strange, but
It's
easy to get in.
artistic.
After the Bone Horde, you've gotten pretty good at climbing.
Artistic choice.
It's a lavish mansion, and there's a lot of treasure to be found. But it's well guarded.
Why
and
is
some of
there
it is
just
more
a
hidden.
coffin
The deeper
in
you
that,
go, the more
in that room
strange
by
things become.
fireplace? They keep the corpse
The rooms
warm.
don't make sense anymore, and they don't seem to have a purpose. Even the layout of the more mundane rooms seem like something's off or elongated. It was supposed to be a normal job, but things keep getting creepier. The orientation of rooms shift completely, and eventually the mansion just gives up pretending it's supposed to be something normal. And while all this is happening,
Fucking,
the guards are still
this
on
is
the hunt.
Willy
It is
Wonka's
such a
chocolate
trick. Why
factory.
is there
What
a
the fuck is
jungle
going on
inside
here?
this? Are the rooms and furniture going to keep flipping? What's the deal with the shrunken town or the gigantic room? Why is the laughter in the walls getting louder?
Are you going insane? What the fuck
If
is
the other
going on?
levels had you feeling deep behind lines, this one really does it. You have no help, no expectations, it's just you versus the madhouse. Up until now, every map had logic and purpose behind its use, and now you've been thrown completely into the deep end of what the hell is happening. For narrative purposes, Garrett doesn't need to say anything. His only remark on any of it is when you actually get the sword.
Time to take my new sword and get out of this crazy place.
That was it.
Kinda
The
sounds
madness isn't
like a
overly
young
foreshadowed, and it's not constantly
Jack
talked over.
Nicholson.
It's a kind of restraint that I wish some
Time
other
to
games
take
had.
my
At the end of
sword
all
and
of it,
get
the
out
title
of
was
this
Constantine who
crazy
hired you. The
place.
entire job was to test how good you were for his real assignment. Stealing an artifact
You ever
called the
dance
Eye
with
of
the
Mahana
devil in the
Cathedral
pale
deep inside
moonlight?
undead territory. But unlocking the cathedral means taking some other jobs to get the talismans to open it. This leads to a twist, and I've heard some friends call it a bad one. Constantine and the artifact are actually evil. Yeah.
He looks evil.
Have sealed the door, and only they know how to open them.
I never got the vibe this was an artifact for good. The one tightly sealed inside a cathedral because it fell to ultimate
I just
evil.
automatically
You're being
assume
hired by a powerful
everybody's
and wealthy man
evil
who is
in
using
a
other
video
channels to
game
do
when I'm the
this.
good
I
guy.
never saw this guy and his assignment being bad news as a twist. It's the degree of just how bad he is.
I can't tell you how pleased
Except
I
it
am
was a
with
Spec
Mr.
Ops The
Garrett.
Line.
I simply can't find the words, but perhaps Victoria can help me in that regard. She has such a way with them.
Yes, we are both so very pleased,
Victoria?
even though the eye is defective.
What?
Victoria is quite right, Mr. Garrett. I don't mean to sound ungrateful, but this eye is completely blind.
It's a rock. It's what you asked for. Am I gonna get paid or not?
Of course.
Oh, he about to get stabbed in the
Victoria, are
back.
you prepared to give Mr. Garrett his compensation?
Whoa. Okay, to turn to demons? The fuck is going on here?
Bow to the woodsy lord and offer up your flesh eyes so that his eye of stone may see, man fool.
Oh, wow. You should have been running out of there as soon as that started.
And the woodsy lord binders them fleshes to stone.
Did you think those ancient phrases were mere words, man fool? Look at me.
Man, fool.
I am the woodsy
Oh, they took his eye?
trickster of legend.
Did you think those ancient phrases were mere words? The scriptures before the missions were worth paying attention to, and the levels had some hints as well. The nemesis of the hammers were pagans and forest spirits, all of which were led by the woodsy lord who they believe the builder drove off, which means some of that artwork had more to it as well. The mansion and the sword now lines up too. You're not dealing with another weird 1%er, he's a pagan god. Garrett has just found out that Satan is real and he's helped his plans somehow. He doesn't quip or swear revenge for getting his eye taken, he does this, cowering in pure horror. This shit is nuts.
Well, yeah, his
Such
eye
a
just
real
got
reaction.
ripped out.
What's also
I'd be
cool is
cowering
you have no idea what
horror
his plan
too.
is unless you explore around in a level. His ultimate plan is to wipe out human civilization and snuff out all light. Once my dark project is realized, they shall know again to fear and love their lord. Not only is the writing stellar, but there's a lot of irony here too. Taking away luxuries and snuffing out light is what you've been doing all game, and now someone is out to do it to everyone and everything. So the hammers who you've been plaguing all game team up with you to stop him. Narratively, this is all great, but as for the missions themselves, it's not the high point. 2 of the missions have maps that are partial remixes of what you played before. The mansion from the sword is now being overrun by plant life and strange new creatures, and a hammer temple is being actively invaded. It's not the remixing that's the issue, but these missions are strongly pushing you towards combat now. You can try to sneak around and run past them like you could in the Bone Horde, but there are less options now, and it seems more set up for
Yeah,
confrontation.
games like that
One
where
mission will
they
even add a kill
focus
enemies objective
very
to the damage
effectively
one. So
on
it seems like a lot of fighting
well,
inside some anthills.
they
And unlike
focus
before, where getting
on
around that stuff was an option, here it
stealth,
feels
and
like
then all of a
you're
sudden they
playing
try to
wrong.
force
The
you
final
into
mission
like
is the complete
combat.
opposite.
I always
Instead
feel
of
a little
constant
weird.
Oh shit! Jesus Christ! Here you can blow past everything.
Even though
It's
you
still
would
an
think that
anthill,
would
but
be
this time you
a
have a ton of
obvious
room to move around, and
transition
it's very linear.
from
It is neat running around
doing
in the
stealth
chaos
until
realm. There are
you
some
get
standout
close to the end of the
moments,
game,
but
and then
it
it
feels like
becomes
there's
like an
some
action
potential. I
game.
don't get the sense of it
But
being
it just
an ultimate
always
test
does
of
feel a
skill or
little
anything.
weird.
It's way too simple for that. The final boss is doing a
Especially
sneaky
when you
item
played
switcheroo. Once again, this
hours
is a piece of
sneaking
cake, but,
around,
I feel kind
being
of thankful.
stealthy.
There could have been a terrible
And
Sith
it's like,
boss
nope,
fight. This
now
is at
there's
least
no more
appropriate for the
stealth. It's
game, and
just,
frankly, I'll take a quiet ending over
it's
a painful
basically a
one
shooting
any day.
gallery.
The world is saved. The hammers give Garrett a shiny new eye for his troubles, and that's it until Thief 2. So, final thoughts. Thief has its stumbles. Some things are stiff and awkward, and even after years of community fixes,
It's an
things
old
can
game,
bug
of
out
course,
sometimes.
it's stiff and
It's no
awkward.
less
That's
cheesable
kind
than
of
any stealth game now.
part of
Even
course
when things
back
are
then.
working, the later levels do have some confusing direction behind them. But all that is expected because this is the first of its kind. You didn't have a first-person stealth game like this. The series went on, but there weren't many imitators. There were a lot of other immersive sim games, but they focused more on becoming more powerful rather than staying vulnerable. Tons of stealth games came out, but most went to third person. Thief is still an amazing game all these years later, and when you're done with the campaign, there are loads
I
of
will
fan
say I
missions
do
to play.
prefer
Because of its
a
age, it stays cheap, and
third-person
it'll be even
stealth
cheaper
game
for the
more
next
than a
while. A lot cheaper.
first-person
The
stealth
on-screen
game.
link or pinned comment will make it 86% off. The entire trilogy is on sale for 90% off. There was some good negotiating. So in that vein, I'm not done yet. Come back next time for Thief 2. It'd be fun to go through the whole trilogy. Maybe the Dark Mod. It'll happen eventually. Hopefully before Gloomwood.
Oh shit, why that scare me? But that was my reaction to the Mandalorian Thief. I forgot the name of it just that quick. The Dark Project. I don't know why that seems like you would call it, like that would be like the Thief 2 to call it the Dark Project. It'd be like Thief 2, the Dark Project. I feel like the first one would just be Thief, but they all got like some type of subtitle like Thief, Dark Project, Thief 2, the Metal Age, and then Thief, Deadly Shadows. Which I guess, is that Thief 3, or is that like a reboot? But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed my reaction. Whenever you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button down below. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Hit that bell. You'll know if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. Comment down below. Share this video. I'll see you next time. Peace.